Counting on them putting themselves to bed.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah. But speed brush,
Maybe. I'm going with like the PJ.
We're going with PJ.
That's a win
Yeah.
for you.
That's
Yeah.
the win.
Yeah.
That's my bar.
Yeah. That they're in pajamas when we get home. It's very good.
And like alive.
Yeah.
Everyone is here. Jim's joining us
Yeah.
in line. This phase.
All right. For those that would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, let's do that now.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic,
which it stands
one nation, under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All right, welcome to a regular meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees. It's August 14th, 2023. The time is 7 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Edwards,
Here.
trustee Cranker,
Here.
trustee Harper,
Here.
trustee Bierman,
Here.
trustee George,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Here.
Mayor Furman.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any revisions to this evening's agenda?
Staff does not.
All right. We do not have anyone in person, but we'll now open up the meeting for public comment. If you're on Zoom, please click the raise hand button and we will promote you to panelist for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move to the first item on our agenda, which is new business item 4A. This is a public hearing consideration of the petition to establish a municipal housing authority.
Right. Do you want me to begin?
Yes.
All right. So in your packet, you'll find a petition to establish a housing authority. We are following Colorado state statutes as outlined in 29.4.204 to establish the housing authority based on one of the two reasons highlighted in your memo. Staff recommends approving the petition based on reason B. There is a lack of safe or sanitary dwelling accommodation in town. The authority board will be the trustees at this point and will be used to secure funding for projects. If the petition is accepted, the housing authority will be established at the next meeting with a resolution. This public hearing was noticed in the Silverton Standard on August 3rd, meeting the 10-day public notice requirements. On another note, but related to housing, regarding housing, we have hired a community projects and housing coordinator, Aaron Chase. And this is funded with a grant secured by San Juan Development, and Beth will be overseeing her position and will hopefully help us get some projects off the ground.
Awesome.
I just really wanted to announce that and I didn't know where to do it, so.
Yeah, good plan.
Well, we've been working towards this for a while, and this is pretty exciting that we've figured out a way to do it. And I'm definitely in full support. Yeah.
Big deal. We have really important stuff on our agenda and we just have one participant watching us.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
It's a big meeting.
Any discussion or questions about the establishing of the authority or the process or what happens once it's established?
I had one question in here on like, there was kind of a reporting requirement from the housing authority. I can't remember what they're called, board or. And so as far as like putting together that report or that it said something about filing it with the mayor, would we have a work session on that? Like how?
Yeah,
Figure that out.
sure. So since we are using this right now just as a funding mechanism, that report and can be something that I can do. And I'll probably be overseeing the quote unquote housing authority until it becomes more than just a funding mechanism.
Great, thank you.
Only question I had is, do we have anything other than like our anecdotal evidence to support the conclusion that we need to conclude A or B, which is unsanitary or unsafe inhabited dwelling accommodation, or the lack of safe or sanitary dwelling accommodation? We can point to kind of the housing study, I think, that's
Yes.
done, and our knowledge of, you know, us calling this a housing crisis, but I was wondering if we had anything specific you'd like us to.
And that's why we recommended B, was because we can point back to our housing study to show that we had a lack of housing for, and that can be sanitary dwelling accommodation in the town. If you consider we have people camping out in tents working here, so.
And that's noted in the housing.
And that is, and how many people can
Yeah.
in the housing study that was done in 2001 or 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a problem, folks.
2021.
Thanks, Deanne, for getting these signatures and for everybody moving this forward.
Oh, since this is a public hearing, I guess we need to open up for public comment as well. So we had sorry, I skipped that. So we had the presentation of the issue. So we'll now open it up for public comment. Then we'll close public comment. We can continue our discussion and then we can decide if we are ready to make a motion. So we'll now open up for public comment. We'll start with in-person and move to Zoom. Is there any public comment relating to this public hearing for the establishing of a municipal housing authority? None in person. If you're on Zoom, please click the raise hand button if you'd like to make a comment. I see none, so we'll close public comment and back to trustee discussion.
I think too, just clarifying for the public out there who may not have read the packet, may not have been paying any attention to this, the housing authority really allows the town in a different capacity to potentially borrow funds to purchase housing or build housing, to purchase land. And currently as a municipality, we're precluded from doing that. So that's really a key mechanism for it. So if people are confused what it is or why, do a little bit of your own research, but that's a key part of it for the public listening or watching.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the housing authority petition on the basis of B is. I'll make that my motion. And direct staff to present a resolution for the establishment of the authority at the August 28th regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Edwards,
Yes.
trustee Birma,
Yes.
trustee Cranker,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with roll call vote.
Thank you very much and very well done to everyone involved in getting us to this point. This is awesome. The next item on our agenda is new business item 4B, review RFP for a wetland inventory. And even though this is new business, this is a continued issue, which I've been asked to recuse for, so I will continue to recuse.
Can you please promote Sheila to panelist? And I'll just start with the introduction and then I'll probably hand this over to Sheila. But at the last meeting on the 31st, staff was given direction to draft a wetlands inventory or an RFP for a wetlands inventory to give trustees more of an idea of what wetlands we have here, what extent do we have wetlands, what are the grades or classifications that we have that are currently non-jurisdictional but still wetlands. And so this is our attempt to find an expert to kind of map that out for you all and hopefully get that done before the snow flies. Sheila, did you want to introduce the RFP?
Sure thing. So I think she did a great summary of that. We added in not only just the delineation, but to have them make a recommendation of a protection program. We left it pretty open-ended in case they want to come up with something unique that they've had work in other areas. But that was the only other addition that we added to the RFP. So this would involve them going out, finding the wetlands, mapping them, creating a geodata space for us so that we can add that to the GIS system, and getting it all done before the first snow and having presentations in November or December. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Sheila, for this. This is Dana Cranker. I think this had a lot of the stuff that I was really interested in nailing down. I'm no expert, and so I guess my question was, do you see examples of someone having done this in other communities? Or I guess I look at it and I say, this seems like a pretty great and big lift. Do you think what we're asking is feasible?
Yes, so I actually even went back and did a Google search to see if there were any. Gunnison County is actually doing some kind of wetlands delineation. Theirs is a little more targeted based on what their needs are, but there were communities and organizations and nonprofits throughout the US that were doing wetlands delineation and or wetland protection programs, especially in light of the new case law that came out where they overturned the 404 permit process and all the jurisdictional issues with that. So I do see a lot more people going out with it. And that was shown in the search as far as all the others that are doing it.
That's great. Thank you. And I just wanted to kind of put it out there for the record that I think this is a really great way for us to move forward in knowing what we're talking about. I think we've heard from a lot of people on both sides of this issue or with a variety of perspectives that let's just figure out what it is we're actually even talking about when we're talking about non-jurisdictional and jurisdictional wetlands in town, the value of them, the importance, the extent. I think for me, just clarifying for the public that even with us doing this RFP, it's not committing us to doing a wetland protection program. It's exploring to what extent we have non-jurisdictional wetlands in the community, kind of the function that they're serving, the locations that they are, the extent that they are, and then considering options for a wetland protection program.
Yeah, that's a perfect summation. That was what I was looking for when we started this conversation. I think it's really important. And yeah, I think this is a really good step in the right direction. Yeah, I just hope that we can find an expert to do it.
Yeah. So we haven't created a budget for this, but I know in the RFP, it asks for the applicant to supply one. And I guess it'll just remain sort of an open-ended. At this point, we don't know what that looks like for a budget, so we'll have to come back and address that when we get the responses. But yeah, it looks really complete and it looks very optimistic, and it will be useful for us to create some information around this issue that's unique and pertinent for our specific community.
Anybody? I'll make a motion to approve the wetlands inventory and protection program RFP as presented. Second.
Oh yeah, sorry, we're ready for a roll call.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Trustee-
that was my fault.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Birma,
Yes.
Trustee Cranker,
Yes.
Trustee George,
Yes.
Trustee Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman is recused, so that will be passed with 6 yeas, 1 recusal.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, Shane. Yeah.
All right, next item on our agenda is consent agenda items.
And we do have our June sales tax in there. I want to say that the first one that was published on Google had some formulas that were wrong in it. So if you go back to the Google Drive and click on it, it has been fixed. We had budgeted for 10% over 2019 numbers. And so we are looking good in that respect right now. Almost to $200,000 over what we had budgeted this time right now. So, and we're waiting to see what July is really the number that will tell us where we're at. I know I keep saying that in every sales tax, but July is really the one that will show us.
Every month, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you, staff wise, have any perspective or have we, I mean, at the chamber meeting, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but just talking to business owners or just kind of a context for this summer? Cause I looked at the number, I was like, whoa, is there an anomaly here? It just seemed really high.
You know, I keep expecting it to level out, honestly. So, I'm not sure when that's going to be, but I would still like to budget conservatively as we move forward to anticipate that. And, these overages can accommodate some of these extra projects that we're doing as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we're 2.58% year to date above last year, which was a record year. And that, you know, the reason we budgeted against 2019 is that was our last normal year. And we thought we might be reverting back to normal economic times, but we're continuing to see an increase.
Yeah, and I think as more people are moving to town as well, we're getting that online sales tax. So, you know, it is a combination of our local tourism and our actual residents here that are ordering. Yep. Ordering online.
Ordering online and just participating in the local.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this number, the August numbers, the June sales tax collections. Is that right?
Yes.
And so that's kind of the most surprising because we still had a lot of extra snow. June felt slow to a lot of town and still we had 185,303.71 in June of this year and 163,532 in June of last year. It's pretty.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that, yeah, I felt like June was slower. A lot of people felt like June was slower, but we're just cranking right along. It's great to see.
Well, and even if we think about 2021 being an extremely anomalous year, it's not that far off of that number. That's what I just looked at. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah. And that was like the year that we all said, this is not sustainable. This is out of the ordinary. This is strange. Yeah. We'll all wait for July. It could be very.
I mean, anecdotally, July for me was better than any other July we've ever had.
The suspense continues. Tune in next time.
Nathan, did you want to speak to special event?
Yes, the Silverton Creative District has submitted a public rights of way permit application to close off a section of Blair Street between September 8th and 9th for the Anisi Park dedication. We have been working with Lisa Brainer and the Silverton Creative District to help plan a wonderful grand opening of the new Anisi Park, which is coming along beautifully. If you have not had a chance to check it out, it's just amazing. It is the best building in Silverton, personal opinion. But the road closure will include a section of Blair Street just directly in front of the Anisi Park area. There will be food trucks, a street fair, alcohol zone, as well as plenty of live music to go around. There is also a full weekend of events that is being planned, but the street closure is specifically for that street fair. Calling all vendors, if you would like to join, please contact the Silverton Creative District. It is open to all, I believe, and we do have Lisa Brainer online if you have any questions about the event itself as well as the closure. And Sheriff Conrad has also signed off on this, and Public Works as well. I just don't have their signature in this application.
Great, super exciting. The closure is 4 p.m. on the 8th to
Midnight on the 9th or 11:59.
11:59 on the 9th. Yeah, I get that.
It will be, I believe, that Friday and Saturday, Summer Sounds. is moving to Anisi Park
Okay.
that weekend, as well as the Mike Garriak Band will be performing, unfortunately, not in his Elvis suit, as much as I've tried. But they are expecting up to 400 people to attend the street fair, locals and non-locals as well. And for a full list of events for the street concert, you can go online to the Silverton Creative District website, event calendar, and Silverton Creates.
Gonna be a great weekend.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda item or consent agenda as presented. Sorry,
Second.
tired.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Edwards,
Yes.
trustee Brama,
Yes.
trustee Kränker,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Awesome. I want to say thank you to everybody that's participated in making the Anisi Park real. A lot of people have contributed throughout the community, contractors, staff. Super cool. Well done, community.
And so it's out, we're done with Columbine Park now. We don't call it that anymore.
Technically, as of right now, it is still Columbine Park. During the dedication ceremony that day,
That will be the day we turn over.
it will be Anisi Park, ANESI, if I spelled that correctly. And we will have a dedication ceremony for the Anisis, as well as some plaques on and inside the building to thank the family for their contribution to Silverton.
Great.
And again, that building is magnificent.
I'm a long way from Potty Park.
Yeah.
We're trying to get away from
I
that.
won't say that ever again. Last time. That was the last one.
Decommission.
Double showers for the men's and women's restrooms open to the public with coin operated machines, I believe. So that is a great addition to our Colorado Trail hikers.
Awesome.
Okay, great. The next item on our agenda is staff reports, calling out Bonita Peak Mining District update specifically.
Yes, so I did want to show that was in your, and I'll always call it out when we get one, so that it's in the packet and everyone knows that it's in there. I do have quite a list of things to tell you all in staff reports. Special election regarding OHVs in town is set for October 3rd. The protest to the petition that was filed with the district court was denied, so the special election can continue. Our overseas ballots will be sent out, I think, at the end of next week. On August 23rd, we'll have a master plan update night at Town Hall. So people can come hear about what we have accomplished the last 11 months since it's been adopted, and then what's upcoming. In-person attendance is encouraged, but we'll also be airing this on YouTube and Zoom. And there'll be an update on our parks and amenities as outlined in the master plan. Community planning strategies will be there to talk about our upcoming code rewrite, and our wastewater treatment funding technical assistance team will be presenting as well. They'll also be holding 2 outreach sessions at Coffee Bear and Elevated on the 23rd and the 24th to educate about our upcoming wastewater treatment plant replacement. Being that this will probably be the largest infrastructure project we will undertake, we are trying to get the community involved as much as possible, because this will have an implication on what our rates look like in the future. On September 1st, State Senator Jeff Bridge will be here. He's on the State Appropriations Committee and will be visiting Silverton at 9:30 a.m. at Town Hall to receive feedback on Senate Bill 23-213. And this is a land use bill, very contentious land use bill that was presented this year. And he wants to get feedback on how to make it a better bill in the next legislative session. And then we're also still recruiting for our historic review committee. This is a new committee for the town that the San Juan Regional Planning Commission has been the acting board and has requested that the committee be a standalone committee for the town of Silverton. So interested applicants can apply by October 2nd. More information and the application can be found on the front page of our website. And trustees are scheduled to appoint that new board on October 9th.
Have we received applicants?
We have not yet. That's why I'm doing a call out.
Oh, okay,
They have until October 2nd to turn them in, but we'd love to see some as soon as anyone's ready to commit.
would any of the trustees who are active on Facebook mind doing a plug for them? And has the town's posted about that?
Yes, and it's
It's in the newspaper.
and we have a nice little infographic to see if you're eligible or not to be on that committee.
Would you share that infographic with the trustees over email so that we can also push that out?
Yeah.
And I forget, do they have to be Silverton local or can they be Durango, DeRay?
Silverton.
Okay.
Silverton.
No.
Yep. Yeah.
Hopefully as people start coming up for air as August.
There's some time. There's some.
I think it's just a reminder to everybody out there who listens later, there's a lot going on that you can hear about. And so the update for the master plan, being a part of this committee, wastewater treatment was something when Jeff and I were wandering around talking to folks, was definitely on people's minds. So just encouraging everybody that listens to this later, if you have stuff to share on any of those topics, please come to any and all of these events.
I've also been very surprised that it seems that a large portion of the community is unaware of the October 3rd special election. And so the more that we can create awareness around that happening so that we can get a high level of involvement, I think will be really good.
Quite good. We have been having some issues with Facebook posting out on that social media platform due to some account restrictions posted by Facebook, thinking that we are not who we say we are. So I am doing the workaround with that currently, and we'll have a brand new account to post things out temporarily. Again, it will be Town of Silverton official.
Great. I think this will be our third Facebook account in the last like 8 years.
It just does not believe we are local government.
Great. Any other comments or questions on staff? Fantastic. We did not have any committee meetings since our last meeting, so that we'll skip over. Do we have any trustee reports this evening?
Oh, this was kind of first. You ready, Todd? Yeah, okay. Thanks for the bike racks.
Oh, yeah.
They're all over. I've seen them everywhere. It's awesome. I brought that up in our last meeting and then like turned around out on the streets. It's been great. Using them too. And Summer Sounds was awesome. I don't want to steal anyone's sunshine.
Bring on the sunshine, Sally.
So fun.
Echo, second, all of it.
Well done.
I really like that, stealing sunshine instead of stealing thunder. That's good. All right. No other trustee reports? In that case,
You can add on. Like, no, it was actually super fun.
No, our family saw the bike racks, appreciated it. It was great. It was like, boom, wow, where did these come from? It was amazing.
awesome. We will move on to continued business. Item 9A, review of land use code RFP proposals.
Right, so after receiving our grant from DOLA, the town put out for proposals to rewrite our land use and development code to align with our master plan in July. We received 2 proposals that have been reviewed by the Planning Commission and staff. We did only receive two scorecards from the planning commission. This was because we had presented it to the planning commission. They reviewed both of them. And then we didn't have all of the references yet, so we didn't ask them to vote at that time. And so they were trickling back in. And at the time this went out, we had to present to you all, and we didn't receive any after that. I did not put a staff recommendation in the memo, but after spending some time evaluating the applications, I would recommend Clarion based on their experience, past projects, and structure of the community feedback and outreach.
Thank you.
Yes.
So this is another one of those things that I think is a pretty big deal. And I did attend the planning commission meeting where we discussed the two different responses. And I think they both had pros and cons to them in a way that kind of created some balance for me of like, well, this, you know, with this firm, we would get sort of some strengths in this side, and with this firm, we would have some strengths on that side. And so until Gloria made her strong recommendation, I can completely support the Clarion choice. I wondered if it was worth just potentially looking at an interview with them, because I think that this, you know, rewriting our code is a really big deal. And we've seen we've had feedback on it from the public. This is like very much a community interfacing document. It's going to be one of those things where when we do it wrong, we really experience, we know what doing it wrong feels like. And so I think the opportunity to get it right and receive really good community input from, you know, throughout that process is going to lead us in the direction of what we're looking for. And if, I don't know, if I was going to be on board with maybe interviewing both of them, but Gloria, I trust you enough. And I know that you've done further research since that planning commission meeting too, to hop on board with one or the other based on your recommendation. But I just want to emphasize, I think this is an important decision that we're about to make. And I'm going to look back at my planning commission notes here quickly, but yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents up front.
I think I am super excited to see this moving forward. It's really neat to see such substantial applications from these two companies. And so I think that we have some really great things to work with. I haven't spent as much time in both of these applications as probably many of you have on the planning commission or Gloria and staff have, but the feel of the Clarion application and kind of the way that they approached community engagement felt very similar to what our community experienced with community builders. And so that kind of, to me, felt a little bit more like it was something that people would be familiar with and comfortable with and able to engage with. And I really liked a lot of the capabilities that they brought and the experience that they brought. I think a benefit of the other application was kind of the sort of bigger infrastructure engineering overall lay of the land, if you could say it that way, for town. But I thought the Clarion proposal was really strong, and seeing that community builders recommended that. Gloria, your perspective was that the feedback we got from planning commission, unless Jim has something else to add from the conversation, was very much in support of that. So I would be excited about moving forward, but I'm not opposed to doing an interview because it is such a big change and decision.
Well, and I think if we have a fairly unified view of these two options, then, you know, I'm not going to push that at all. Community builders recommended Clarion. I can't remember if you mentioned this, Gloria, initially, but I did note that, something I think that they bring to the table is that they proposed the steering committee to work with the local community, and they have experience using that structure, which I think is really important for transparency and engagement.
Mhm.
I think based off of the fact that community builders
Mhm.
and Gloria both like them, that's who I would lean towards with no other. After reading them, they were close, but yeah. Did notice a large portion of, what is it? Kale Jang's budget was for outreach and engagement. The other one was a little less clear, but
They both had components of community engagement,
yeah.
which was what made that. Like, I just needed to get a little bit more information, I think, outside of the application to understand exactly what that would mean. Because otherwise it looked. A lot of things in the applications I thought looked sort of balanced and equal. Some of the things that came up in the planning commission that commissioners expressed were important were, the ability to create code that's specific to Silverton. And not just bring in something from the outside and try and overlay it on our unique situation. That they have familiarity with the master plan. And the work that went into the master plan, that they have the ability to interface with our neighboring communities and have familiarity with our sort of close region. Local knowledge of Silverton and yep. That's about it. That's what rose to the top in the planning commission. Correct. Jim I don't know, Jim, if you have something else that you recall.
You're right on.
Okay. This is like chicken scratch notes here, but. Yep. Oh, and I think the other thing that Clarion brought was. Gloria, you might have to elaborate a little bit on this, but I do have a note about, access to the housing, kind of a component, a special housing focused component to it. And they have like not contract out, but have partnerships or relationships with to increase the capacity of Clarion in areas that they may not have
Right.
on staff.
It was a joint,
Their proposal.
their proposal was a joint proposal with another firm that they were going to use as well. To help kind of fill that gap of, and I don't know if it was housing specific, but.
There were a couple of different categories.
Yeah.
And I don't, maybe I have that right here. I don't.
So they're the urban rural, yep.
Sorry, I just. There you go.
I found it too. It's the urban rural continuum. And that's on page 65 of your packet. And so and she's out of Hotchkiss, Colorado, which I liked as well because really small town has kind of that same feel. So I also
had worked a little closer to home.
Yeah, also in my review, I looked at a lot of the codes that they did rewrite, which was very helpful because they had rewritten codes. And if you had a chance to look at Mancus's code, it's something that I really thought was very straightforward. They had a lot of tables, they had a lot of just an easy flow process through their code that impressed me and was easy to navigate.
Is there anything else from any other staff that you wanted to add, or you feel like this is kind of where we are?
TJ, did you have anything to add?
No, I don't. I think you have all the information and, yeah.
Okay.
I was impressed with both applications. It was great to see like two very professional firms pitching for this project. You know, we've done RFPs in the past for big projects and received nothing or nothing appropriate. And these are both impressive firms. Based on all of the recommendations we received, Community Builders obviously like has tons of knowledge of our community as well as local communities, and for them to recommend is very persuasive, as is Gloria's recommendation and the Planning Commission's recommendation. And then hearing Sally suggest interviews, I came in as being like, oh, this is easy, Clarion, like great, let's do it. But then these projects do very much hinge on personalities, and it's given me a little. I've been chewing on that just in the last couple of minutes and trying to figure out like how frustrated would we be if like 6 months from now we're like, oh, we could have interviewed and found out that we had a personality mismatch or a better match with one or the other. And it seems like it would be prudent to do that, but at the same time, we've just had a 10-minute long discussion about how we're very much in favor of Clarion. And I think if I was KLJ, I'd kind of be like, show up with the interview and be like, guys. So I'm not sure that we need to do that at this point, but I'm definitely, I would sleep better if we did it, but I have a feeling that Clarion is the choice here for me.
Well, I think too, like, given how long it took us to schedule the trustee retreat, I think it's important to weigh the, like what's practical and moving forward and what moves us in the direction of actually having a code rewrite. I'm very willing to consider that, but I do think that this is something that's going to stick with us for a long time, and I don't know. Just want to toss it out there. But yeah, I hear you, like KLG's watching the meeting and they're like, well, great. But I
think it's a really good idea.
The scorecard is fairly equal, when it comes to the two people that filled that out.
What do you think, Jordan?
My take going over it was neither one seemed like a bad option. It's just always a good place to start. If there's slight recommendations that push us towards Clarion, I think that's totally fine. I don't have a strong feeling to go one direction or another. They both look like they'll do good.
Awesome. Liv?
Yeah, I mean, basically what y'all have been saying, they both look pretty good. I don't have an inclination towards one or the other. If staff is recommending Clarion, then I think we should probably do that.
What do you think,
Tyler?
I think. Yeah, with the Community Builders recommendation, Planning Commission recommendation, and Gloria's recommendation, maybe we can get the interview, but. I guess, and I did that. If they're making the recommendation, Community Builders especially and specifically, assume that they've worked with them before. So hopefully they already know the
I agree. That gives me a huge level of
people, and they're like, oh yeah, there's, we are going to be able to work with these guys. So
yeah. Okay.
it sounds like we have a consensus.
I'll make a motion to accept the Clarion proposal and direct staff to draft a contract with Clarion to be presented at a future meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Edwards,
Yes.
Trustee Birba,
Yes.
Trustee Crinker,
Yes.
Trustee George,
Yes.
Trustee Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Marnie,
Yes.
Mayor Furman.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. And at 7:44, we'll now move to our last item of the agenda.
Thank you so much.
9B, review of the.
Tyler's like, we're taking care of Tyler.
Tell me that this one's real juicy. We're gonna talk about it for 2.5 hours.
Todd, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So, construction RFP was released on June 12th, 2023. For the construction of a new deck and patio area at the Kendall Mountain Community Center. We've twice extended the deadline now, seeking a response, and we have received a response from Klinke and Liu Contractors. The project was budgeted at $175,000. Klinke and Liu's estimate has come in at $148,000. Without the inclusion of contingency, even with a fairly robust contingency, we do come in under the anticipated budget. And the estimate has been attached for trustee review, and I'd be happy to field any questions.
I wrote in my notes, let's get this done. What was that? It was, I think we've tried to get a competitive bid process and we're here, and I think we have something here that meets our budget. It would just be great to have that deck again.
And they're local.
And they're local.
I haven't thought of this out of this, but I work extremely closely with Klinke and Liu on all of my projects, so I think I'm gonna recuse from this one as well, just to be super careful.
Any discussion? Any opposition?
No.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the award of the KMCC deck patio construction RFP to Klinke and Liu Contractors?
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. Okay, Matt, we're ready.
All righty. Trustee Edwards,
Yes.
trustee Bierma,
Yes.
trustee Crinker,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
trustee Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney,
Yes.
and Mayor Furman recused himself. So that leaves us with 6 yeas, 1 recusal.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay, Shane.
Thanks.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll now open up the meeting for public comment. We do not have anyone in person, so we'll look to Zoom. We don't have any public attendees. Oh, yes, we do, sorry. Now we'll click to the right screen. Anyone who's on Zoom, if you'd like to make public comment, please click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist. Seeing none, we'll close public comment, time 7:47 p.m. Possibly one of our shortest meetings ever.
With huge accomplishments in one meeting.
Yeah,
And
nothing like.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.